In the words of Louise Hay, you can heal your life. It is so true. Healing our childhood trauma and abandonment basically frees us to live a better life, and I am a living example of that. I grew up and had abandonment issues from very, very young age. I had a father that was very absent in my life, and this led me to really feel, unworthy, unlovable, as a child looking at other kids and their dads were, even if the parents were separated like mine, the dads were picking them up all the time and taking them to the park and doing all the things. And, as a child, you start to realize like, what's different about me? What's wrong with me? Why is this not happening to me? And essentially, your father is a person that teaches you, looking at him and how he treats your mom, the wife, basically how to pick a good man, all those kinds of things. And I definitely lacked that. So in lacking that as a child, I just became like so resentful and angry. And the anger kind of grew throughout my entire life. And then I also had, and like I'm going to say right off the bat, no fault of her own. I don't mean to come across that way. I had a very sick mom that had a really crippling mental illness. And so same thing from about 8 years old. She would be in the hospital for weeks, days, months. We never really knew. So I want to say from about 8 years old, I really learned how to grow up quickly and also how to tune to, the feelings of others and wonder like, what kind of moods people would be in. So like unconsciously, I would feel the room and tune into the energy. I hadn't quite figured that out at that age, but kind of feeling, what the mood was like and these kinds of things. And getting back to basically the second thing was I kind of really grew, that anger grew from this little deep seed into this just rage. And what I did basically was, from having to survive on my own and, just kind of experienced life at a young age, kind of in basically embodying an adult in many ways. I just decided that I was going to protect myself at all costs. So, different hurts from, like I say, not having a father, all those kinds of feelings. I basically kind of made a fortress and just started protecting myself. Like I wasn't going to let too many people in. I had to make this work, so I wasn't going to risk getting hurt. And of course, then all the feelings throughout my entire life, basically, I would just kind of bury them. I wouldn't feel them. I wouldn't deal with them. I was just like, nope, this is overwhelming. I'm not going to deal with this now. So I just kind of buried them down in Pandora's box, so to speak. And, I wouldn't take accountability for things in my life. And basically it was, much easier to just stay stuck in survival mode and, be negative and blame other people for the things that weren't working out in my life. And of course, at that time, I definitely could not see that, right? And this led me to, I was a young single mom. And like, honestly, that's, if I had to say one thing in my life I was the most proud of, it is my daughter. She is absolutely amazing. We had some hard times and stuff, but she was so always full of light, always happy. She still is. She just makes me proud every day. She's a fantastic mother and wife. Could go on and on forever. But anyway, she, to me, is the only thing I ever did right. But even throughout all, hard times raising her and stuff, I still was so negative, not willing to deal with any past trauma. And also I did actually take this into a marriage I was in at the time. I definitely wouldn't admit that then. I found it easier to blame my ex-husband for everything. And as things became to get way too overwhelming for me, I decided the best thing for me to do was to leave that marriage. And, leading into being divorced, all the kind of things that we go through, I still was like, it's all his fault, blah, 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 which is, it's funny now, it's terrible actually. No, but I decided to start my life over at 47, which is like insane, I know in some ways. And basically for a year, I kind of lived like a gypsy, like a 16 again. I stayed with family and friends and, till the divorce was settled and everything was straightened out, I had to not be on my own. And then finally I did get on my own and moved into a place by myself. And it was so bizarre. It was kind of, this is the beginning of my spiritual awakening. I started having the strangest dreams. Like it was just so crazy. I basically spent my life not feeling a feeling kind of thing. And I had this reoccurring dream that I was a young child. I was at Jubilee Park, and there was one older boy with like a dark blue coat and red curly hair, and a younger boy with a light blue coat, blonde hair, and blue eyes, and it was swinging me around at the park, right? And I kept having this dream thinking, God, this is so weird. Like, I have an oldest brother, and we were not raised together. He raised with my dad, and my mom and dad got divorced, and I raised with my middle brother and my mom. And it was just so bizarre. And then my middle brother gave me a bag with my mom, who's passed away now, old photo albums and stuff. And I opened the photo album and I found this picture. It was so friggin' like my exact dream. I just couldn't even believe it. I was probably like 5, 6 years old. My oldest brother had come down to visit, and they had me in the park. And I don't know if I ever just, blocked that, didn't remember that, but it was just so weird. And that was the beginning of basically all these old memories and stuff. Like, I was waking up thinking about it. I was going to bed thinking about it. I was dreaming it. And basically what it was is like my whole body was screaming at me to face and feel these emotions. Like, that box opened and 47 years of crap just came flying out, and it was insane. It really was insane. And then I started to realize that, you know what, I'm going to have to start dealing with this stuff, or it's going to deal with me. And a lot of times we don't realize that, when you keep the anger inside. That's my cat, Lizzie, again. Hello, Lizzie. Loves to say hello when I'm busy. Basically, that these things are just going to keep screaming at us to face them, because when we keep stuck emotions, especially anger, stuck inside the body, it will definitely create illness. That's where a lot of cancer and a lot of different things come from. And I know people shake their heads, some people, but emotions are energy, and energy is always moving, and that's what it's supposed to do. It's not supposed to stay stuck inside our body. So anyways, like I said, I finally allowed myself to feel these emotions, and I'm not kidding you, I was a snotting, blubbering mess. Like, this woman was made of stone, never cried, never nothing, and that's all I did. And it would be like, a kitty commercial would come on and I'd be blubbering, right? Which is, it's funny now, but you know what? We're meant to feel things in that life, not just like, oh, this is too overwhelming, so I'm just going to shut down and just bury that, right? And basically, once I really started, like, I just felt right into it. I let those emotions just wash right over me. And, I'm not going to kid you. You have to walk through the fire to get through the other side. Like, there's some shit you don't want to see. You forgot, you mentally buried it. You don't know if you can handle it, but I'm telling you that you can. And it will change your life. And then from there on, I realized that forgiveness, which is something I never believed in my entire life, I have to tell you. Lots of times it's just like, no, I'm not going to give you the satisfaction of forgiving you. It's like, pardon my language, but it's like, fuck you, I'm not doing that, right? And you know what? The only person that you're hurting is yourself, because you stay with that anger, and that anger is no good for you. Not forgiving people is like me and you drinking a glass of poison, and I'm sitting there waiting for you to fall over and die. But it just doesn't work that way. It's hurting me, and it's like stopping me from my highest potential. And, it doesn't matter also if these people are dead or alive. That's another thing, like, I had to deal with my dad. And I have to say, as the story went on, because all 3 of us siblings were raised apart, I didn't realize that my dad had a real terrible childhood. Nobody ever told me that. And, he had kind of an abusive step parent. And really, I mean, you can't give what you don't know, you've never received. So I had to make amends with that. But the other thing too is basically, it's an easier way of, especially if someone has passed away, or like, you don't have to condone what someone's done to you. You're basically saying, like, I'm going to release this, right? So what I did was I wrote letters, and I mean, you write letters just like that person is sitting across from you. Everything that you've ever wanted to say, please say it, right? And the same thing, I was a blubbering mess again. And I also had to write letters to forgive myself, because, like I said, I realized that I brought shit into the marriage too. I wasn't really basically wanting to face any of that. It was not all my ex-husband's fault. A lot of it was my fault, because I remember times when he'd say to me, you're so angry, I don't know what to do with you. And I was just so angry at the entire world, because I had not dealt with my childhood, right? And basically, so I wrote out all these letters, and I went outside and I created a big fire. And it sounds really easy, but when you watch all those papers just disintegrate up into the air and let it go, it is literally like 1,000 pounds comes off your shoulders. And you've set it free. You've released it to the divine, to the universe, whoever you believe it to be. And this action really does basically make room for something new to come. And I finally felt this, real big sense of being free, right? And this was, like I said, kind of the beginning of my spiritual awakening. And it helped me realize, like, we are a spark of the divine having a human experience. And we don't have to work at being worthy. Like, you don't have to go out and earn it. You don't have to get a whole bunch of degrees. You don't have to be professional. Like, all the things we think we have to work so hard for, we are born worthy and we have to do nothing to earn it. And that's my message for today, that you can heal your past and you can move on to a brighter future. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.